I listened to a man named Steven Johnson, and he was discussing where good ideas come from. He had this notion that it takes more than one person to have a good idea come to reality and to live to its potential. He started with saying that a good idea doesn't usually come from just a mind explosion of an idea that comes to you right away. That a lot of ideas are like a slow hunch, and that they might develop over a year or two or even 10 or 20 years. And that sometimes with a slow hunch that you develop the idea, you take out negatives of what might not make the idea successful, and also that in trying to develop something and have a good idea, that it might take more than one person, and to let other people have their views on something to add to your idea to make it successful. He related it to the starting of the World Wide Web, that the man who first came up with that idea really took a long time, about 10-15 years, to develop the idea and for it to be the extent that it is today. And while working on one little small part of ideas that he had for the World Wide Web, and it didn't really come to fruition, and he threw that idea out, and in collaborating with other people, that in turn is what made his idea successful and what it is today. He also had the point that where does a good idea come from? Like, what kind of environment is someone trying to develop a new, innovative idea? What kind of surroundings are they in? He discussed the tea houses of Parisian and the Renaissance being, people were very apt to spending time together, to relaxing in tea houses, or parlors or whatnot, and just all those different ideas being bounced off each other really led to some innovative ideas that were revolutionary for the time. He made the point that when you have a hunch, like a slow hunch, and you find someone who can develop the idea with you, it'll only become more successful. He kind of relates this all, in conclusion, in a wrap-up, to the World Wide Web and how people now are distracted and more apt to being focused on their computers or their phones. And does that help us, or is it a detriment to society? He also states for sure that reading is key, and that being engrossed in a story or engrossed in reading can really help emphasize and enhance someone's idea, that we're kind of lacking that nowadays. But he did have a positive spin on it, that people, when you're connected on the internet, and now you can bounce ideas off other people, and maybe someone out there has the missing piece to your idea that you couldn't come up with on your own, and maybe your idea was almost there, you almost have it all together, but you know it's missing something. And now that you have access to so many different people with so many different ideas, that it will only help in people being creative like they were a long time ago. And after all these generations of history and all this time, that really it's come down to you have to use what you're given, and now that we have all this access, to really utilize it to its full potential and not just let it overcome you and you're getting sucked into things that aren't important or that are wasting your time. That it really could be beneficial that we're using the internet and we're using all these new connections to build on our ideas, and that's where good ideas come from: collaboration and just using a good thinking environment, and that would be conducive to great, excellent new ideas.